Hi everyone, by the end of this video, you will understand what are the most common and suitable paths for immigration to the US. We will cover multiple situations to address most of the scenarios. And remember that I'm not giving any general advice to you here. I'm sharing more of a general but very detailed walkthrough. So please do your due diligence and connect with an immigration attorney if needed. And please do check the US Immigration 101 video before you watch this. Alright, so now let's begin with the most common path, that is via the F1 visa. Suppose you apply and get an admit for a STEM master's program in the US. The degree is usually 1 to 3 years in duration, and you're initially granted the F1 visa in your home country for it. And then you come to the US for your master's. Most students are able to graduate in 1 to 2 years from these master's degrees. And as we learned in the details of the F1 visa in the previous video, you're able to work full-time for 3 years on that same visa. And you can easily switch your jobs during that 3 years of working on the visa. Now, within those 3 years of you working full-time, every year you get a chance to apply for the H-1B visa. Your employer files the application for you. Given you have done a master's degree, which also counts as an advanced degree, you will get 2 chances in the lottery each year. One will be in the regular pool and one will be in the advanced pool. Now till this time frame, 99% of the students coming from F1 visa follow the same pathway, but things change after this. So we will take some assumptions and discuss other options for these assumptions later in the video. The first assumption is that you get the H-1B visa. You get 6 chances in 3 years of your F1 visa while working, and out of those chances, you finally got the H-1B. Now you can maintain your H-1B visa for the next 6 years. It's initially granted for 3 years and is extendable for 3 more years. Now let's cover the second assumption, which is your employment-based immigrant visa is filed successfully within the 6 years of your H-1B. And as we discussed, you can file the employment-based visa under multiple categories. We have covered them in our previous video, and once you get either EB1, 2, or 3, it directly gets you a green card. Now before jumping ahead, let's double-click on the employment-based visa situation. As of November 2024, this chart shows the priority date for Indians and Chinese regarding the EB visa processing. Priority date is the date when the person files for the EB visa. As you can see for EB2, currently the green cards are granted to people who filed for EB visa in January of 2013. And for China, it is October of 2020. It's a similar timeline for EB3. Imagine how many Indians within the last 12 years have applied for EB2 and EB3 and they are still waiting. If the current system does not change, it's almost impossible for Indians to get a green card from EB2 and EB3 categories unless they improve their profile and also file for EB1 in the future. And as per current timeline, even with EB1, it takes more than 5 years for you to get a green card. I know this is crazy, but there's a good chance that the US legal immigration system will be transformed in the coming years. It will be transformed to a merit-based system, and this will lead to the removal of the country caps for green cards, which causes the delays for Indians and Chinese immigrants. In any case, one should not depend on the potential change. So what do most people do during this time? They just stay on H-1B. Once your EB immigrant visa application is approved, and even though waiting line is in double-digit years, you can renew your H-1B every year. And as I said before, you can also switch jobs on H-1B. But obviously there are some restrictions on earning through other opportunities under the H-1B visa. Realistically speaking, people do all kinds of businesses even when they are on the H-1B status. But it's still challenging. We will discuss this under the American Dream video down the line. On your H-1B, your dependents, that is your spouse and children, can also come to the US. And your spouse can also work and even do business in the US. So technically, if you're a good performer and can maintain your job, your family can have a great time in the US. Now let's cover the third assumption, which is that you finally get a green card by staying on H-1B and living for 10 to 20 years in the US. If you maintain your green card status for 5 years, you can file for the naturalization process to get your US citizenship. And once you get the US citizenship, you can then sponsor your parents for a green card. Finally, now let's discuss these assumptions. What happens if everything doesn't go with the traditional plan? And don't worry, it's good for the most part. Assumption 1 is that you get the H-1B visa. What if you don't get it? Well, there's a lot of options even then. Option 1 is getting a Canadian PR. By that time, you already have a great profile to apply for Canada PR. which is equivalent to the US green card. So at any time, at least under 35 years of age, you have a great chance of moving to Canada directly on a PR, and it lets you do whatever work or whatever business you want to do in Canada. And unlike US, you can even sponsor your parents for PR once you have yours. You don't even have to wait for becoming a Canadian citizen for that. This is honestly a great option. Option 2 is getting a Canadian work visa. If your current company also has an office in Canada and you aren't able to get a Canadian PR on your own, your company can actually file for a work visa in Canada. And once you move to Canada, the same company, after your first year of working there, will keep on filing for H-1B each year for you, unless you get it. And you can move back to the US if you wish to. Even in option 1, you can come back to the US if you don't like Canada through L1 or H-1B visa before getting the citizenship. And once you become a Canadian, you can come to the US on TN1 visa, which has fairly straightforward process. Option 3 is going back to your home country. You can spend some years back in your home country under the same or other companies. And just like option 2, you can come back to the US. The US company that gives you a job offer will give you 2 chances each year on H-1B, as you have an advanced US degree. If the company is same, you can come back directly on the L1 visa. Option 4 is getting the O1 visa in the US. You can switch to an O1 visa if your profile is exceptional. Maybe you have lots of research experience, published papers, some national awards, etc. O1 visa will let you stay in the US and even under the same company. Your company must be willing to file the visa for you. That is the only catch. In fact, once you get the O1 visa, it gets you a high chance to file for EB1 visa for green card, which is an amazing opportunity. Option 5 is getting the F1 visa. You can start another degree within the US. Some companies allow you to even work part-time for the whole year. And you can again start your cycle of 2 years of degree and 3 years of work on that same visa, and also keep on applying for H1B in those 3 years. In fact, some universities allow you to work full-time even during regular semesters. Win for you and win for also the company. And honestly, there are more options than what I have listed here. You can even move to Australia or other countries in Europe. It's not the end of the story at all. Assumption 2 is that your company is able to file for employment-based immigrant visa applications successfully. Now this takes 2+ years for the entire process before it actually gets approved. And once approved, you're officially in the waiting line for your immigrant visa, which eventually leads to the green card. What if the company is unable to file that and your H-1B expires? All 5 of the options that are listed above for the assumption 1 apply here to the fullest extent. You can choose either of those. You just have to start planning a year ahead of when your H-1B expires. Assumption 3 was that you plan on staying for 15 to 20 years after EB immigrant visa application is approved. And until you get your green card, you keep on renewing your H-1B each year. Now, what if at any point you want to come back? You can at any point come back to your home country. If you want to do some business in your home country, or if you have some family issues, you can actually come back. And you can come back to the US with the same company or another company at any given point. Now, this is based on the fact that you found a company or the same company is willing to sponsor you again. Note that there are many other nuances to the things that I just described, and it is not needed for you to understand those things now. The whole point is, it is possible. You can even have your kids in the US by then and then leave the US as a family, and once they become 21, even they can sponsor you and you all as a family can move to the US again. Another option available for you at any point is, assuming you become a millionaire in 7 to 15 years of you coming to the US, you can convert to an investment-based visa, which is the EB5 category, which also directly leads you to a green card. Now, this path requires investment of around $1 million in the US and has no waiting time as of December 2024. Wow, did you ever imagine doing this type of practical long-term thinking before? Probably not, but it is important to have your mindset ready. Although it might seem detailed, this was a very basic explanation. I hope this video will encourage you to do further due diligence for your scenario. US immigration is definitely not simple of just coming to the US, living and working freely, but things are possible. If one really wants it, you understand it, you plan it well, and you can finally do it. Also, I want to be clear that the goal of this video isn't to sell you the American dream or to become a US citizen. Even I'm uncertain if I will ever announce my Indian citizenship. as India does not allow you to become a dual citizen, unlike the USA and other countries. To give you more context, the dad of an Indian American billionaire and businessman Vivek Ramaswamy, who was a presidential candidate for 2024, is still an Indian citizen and is living in the US for over 40 years. Vivek's mother, on the other hand, chose to become a US citizen by renouncing her Indian citizenship. So, practically speaking, you don't even have to become a US citizen once you become a green card holder. If, let's say, your parents don't want to move in with you for any reason, there's no point of becoming a US citizen. The bottom line is, coming to the US on F1 visa builds your education profile, it allows you to have international work experience, it gives you tons of flexibility for the future, and it makes you basically an employee of the world. Even if you go back home after these 5 years in the US, your experience and worldview would 100% help you at some point of your future endeavors. Those initial 5 years alone can actually help you upgrade your lifestyle to the next level, if not the topmost level. And upgrading lifestyle cannot happen without money. So in the next video, we will do the money talk by discussing salaries and taxes, and it will be a real talk. I'll see you there. Peace out.